Welcome to Newsroom Tokyo. I'm Shibuya Aki. Tonight, more special coverage on the presidential election in Taiwan. Citizens will vote on Saturday. We'll examine how the results could impact the security situation in Asia at a time when China's military presence is growing. And we'll also focus on the younger generation, who may be key in determining Taiwan's next leader. Now, my co-anchor Yoshioka Takuma joins us live from the presidential office. Hi, Takuma. So what's the mood like there, and tell us what you've been seeing?
Hi, Aki. The building behind me is where the next president will exercise power for the next 4 years. The whole city seems filled with excitement as each candidate's campaign reaches its climax. This election is getting a lot of attention in Taiwan and around the world. One key focus is the likely impact on the security environment in East Asia. The Democratic Progressive Party has been in power for 2 terms. Some analysts say a 3rd term could raise the risk of a military invasion from China. So what are Taiwanese people's priorities as they prepare to vote? I'll have more on that later in the show.
Thanks, Takuma. Now, there are 3 candidates. Lai Ching-te is the current vice president. He's running for the Democratic Progressive Party. Ho Yui represents the main opposition party, Kuomintang. Ko Wen-je is running for the Taiwan People's Party, which he founded in 2019. They all made their final pitch to the public the day before the vote. They all went to drum up support in areas with large numbers of voters. One key issue in this election is Taiwan's future relationship with China. The DPP candidate Lai wants to keep deterring Chinese influence by strengthening ties with the United States and other democracies. On the other hand, the Kuomintang candidate Ho and the Taiwan People's Party candidate Ko are pushing for more dialogue with China. Some analysts are watching the voting intentions of Taiwanese who do business abroad, especially those with connections in China. Taiwan does not allow people to vote early or overseas, so its international airport has had a surge in business people coming home from China and Southeast Asia.
I'm definitely going to vote. That's why I came home. We're going to choose a candidate who's fair, serious, and not corrupt.
It's also believed a key to victory will be getting support for economic policies from unaffiliated voters and young people. We followed the 3 campaigns. This was a rally by the Democratic Progressive Party for their candidate, Lai Ching-te. It was just like a concert, using music and video to try and retain support from young people.
I hope we'll maintain good relations with countries around the world and stop China from interfering in all kinds of things.
Also appearing was President Tsai Ing-wen. Lai talked up his achievements as vice president. He vowed to continue the administration's stance toward China and its relations with the international community.
I will take over the government that President Tsai Ing-wen has led for 8 years. I will not betray your expectations. I will protect the democratic Taiwan.
Meanwhile, this was the main opposition party, Kuomintang. The northern city of Hsinchu is home to lots of Kuomintang supporters. A crowd gathered at this temple. Kuomintang candidate Ho Yui showed up and went to the altar, surrounded by supporters eager to shake his hand. There to cheer him were middle-aged and elderly people who've supported Kuomintang for many years.
There's a lot of corruption and wrongdoing with the present government. I hope the new government will make changes.
The Taiwan People's Party is running for the first time, so does not have a long-established support base. Workers at Ko Wen-je's campaign headquarters have been appealing for support online. Daily live streams outline policies and the schedule for campaign speeches. They also include live chats with viewers. The site has more than 900,000 followers.
Young people's biggest concern is low wages. I will bring jobs that are highly paid on an international level.
Sometimes the live stream looks like this. Ko Wen-je sings and dances to create a friendly vibe. It's a way to chase support from young people whose main source of information is the internet.
The way he acts is not contrived. I can sense that he's honest and sincere.
Now let's hear more from Takuma. So Takuma, what's the latest situation? Who is likely to win?
Right now, we just don't know who's the most likely winner, as opinion polls are banned by law within 10 days of a vote. And the media are not even allowed to cite previous results during this period. Clearly, it could be a close race. And young voters are expected to play a crucial role in deciding who wins the presidency. The turnout for people in their 20s and 30s was around 70% in the last election. I sat down with a group of university students to discuss their priorities and who they are planning to vote for. Let's take a look. I visited the National Taiwan University, one of the top schools here. It has a rich history of producing leaders, including 4 presidents of Taiwan. 8 students aged from 18 to 24 joined me, including 3 from another university. Citizens over 20 are eligible to vote in the presidential election. The students immediately made it clear that the political situation for young people is different from the previous election in 2020.
I'm quite confused this time actually, because 4 years ago, I think young people we're very united. But this time, there's so huge gap between young people, like the people we support.
This time, with the inflation, jobs are getting hard to find, and things are getting more expensive and expensive. So for youngsters, they care more about job opportunities or salaries or more about the economics. So for youngsters,
many feel the situation presents a growth opportunity for the third political force, the Taiwan People's Party.
Young people in Taiwan want to choose a new party instead of choosing from the 2 traditional parties. This is different from the way elderly people think.
People who are engaged in politics become more and more extreme, and so others are like others who don't engage that much are sit inside to watch these kind of things happen.
The internet is getting more and more viral, and people are starting to form like political bubbles.
Next, we moved on to a key question: how people identify.
I think I am Taiwanese. We are different from the Chinese. Our lands are not connected. We also have cultural characteristics. For example, eating and drinking. In that sense, I think we are already distinguished.
Talk turned to the issue of Taiwan's independence.
In a way, we never needed a way to claim our independence or to claim to the world, oh, we're an independent country. Because by all regards and by all understanding of the word independent or country, we are a country.
In international fields, Taiwan's name is often omitted. It will be deleted from any field, like Olympic Games. Our players will be called like from Chinese Taipei, and we don't have a formal games for the Olympics. So for youngsters like me, I do hope that our countries, Taiwan, can be more recognized by other countries, that Taiwan, this name, can be seen all over the world.
Now the real difficulty is we recognize Taiwan as a country, but our constitution or our governmental system is the ROC, the Republic of China system. And so in Taiwan, there's going to be, if we're talking about independence for real, it should be from within, not from without, pushed by some other countries. So I think it's a must that it's from within. But if we're going to have independence from within, it's very important to have an agreement.
Many analysts across the world say that if Taiwan declares independence, China may invade Taiwan militarily. Do you think China will invade Taiwan in the future?
It's not only a conceivable idea that China might invade Taiwan, but it is a harsh reality that we as Taiwanese citizens must prepare for one day. It is not a matter of if China will attack. It is a matter of when China wants to attack.
China's real estate market is now in a dramatic recession. Personal consumption is also falling. If they invade Taiwan in a situation where they haven't solved their own problems, their issues will only get worse.
I asked them directly who they'd be voting for.
For me, it's DPP, the Green Party, Lai Ching-te, because I believe that more than economic or internal affairs, I think the external affairs that the DPP has handled, especially in international relations and trotting the line.
I'm going to vote for Green too. And I think another point important is I think they're pushing a progressive value, which is supporting immigrant workers, supporting LGBT rights, and supporting, like, they see more values.
For now, I would support Mr. Ho Yui of the KMT or Mr. Ko Wen-je of the TPP. Peace is the most important.
On the subject of priorities for this election, many put protecting Taiwan's identity first. But at the same time, some are worried about how to ensure peace is maintained.
Even though our economics might suffer some problems like inflation or unfairness, but I think mainland China will not be the solution.
I want to maintain peace, but we are Taiwanese and not with China. We should be aware of that.
My priority is international relations and recognition. Yeah, but also nowadays it seems to be like if you agree or vote on a certain party, you seem to be declaring independence, or in a way, like so. Because the second priority for me is remain peace, so I think it is still a struggle for me, like, to decide on whether, like, which party to vote for, because these two priorities seems to be very contradicting.
And Yoshioka Takuma joins us again from Taipei. So, Takuma, I can see how hard it is for young people to make a choice, but they all seem to want to protect their identity as Taiwanese.
Yes, but some people fear a third term for the Democratic Progressive Party would mean a greater likelihood of military action from China. A more conciliatory approach to China could help prevent a war, but it could lead to more political and economic influence from the mainland. That's the dilemma young people are facing. We spoke to an expert in foreign relations and security. He believes the Kuomintang candidate Ho Yui has a reasonable party policy when it comes to security.
If DPP does win this Saturday's election, I will consider the tension will immediately rise up, even if the conflict, military invasion, may not happen immediately, as China is also meeting with different challenges domestically. But at least the tension surrounding Taiwan would increase dramatically from all fronts: military, political, economic, and social exchange. Most of the conclusion comes with easier way for Beijing to pay, which is blockade Taiwan. They don't have to really fire any shot. What they should do is a military blockade surrounding Taiwan, cut off supply chain. That would be quite enough to paralyze the normal activities Taiwan has.
The DPP candidate Lai Ching-te says China would review its Taiwan policy and regard his party as a dialogue partner if he won. But Professor Liu says tensions would only ease after a victory for Kuomintang.
China may consider sending a benign attitude to the upcoming new government organized by KMT. Probably they will reduce or completely remove all those military presence surrounding Taiwan. They will just withdraw back to a certain region and also reopen such a communication, social communication.
Liu also says a Kuomintang administration would face a challenge in getting support from young people at home. He says it would need to address the fact that more and more of them identify as Taiwanese, but not as Chinese.
The government, as a KMT, would have to think how to make young generation not just satisfied with what they are. They also need to think of how they will be satisfied in the future. So this will be a great challenge for KMT.
As Professor Liu pointed out, growing military pressure from China has become a major concern for people in Taiwan. And the ruling DPP administration has extended mandatory military service. Before, all men over 18 had to serve for just 4 months. As of January, that's been raised to a year. Some people say the new policy will change the way they vote in the presidential election. NHK World's Yoshida Mayu has this report.
This beach is one of the places Chinese troops could land if Beijing launches an invasion. That's why Taiwan's army held live rifle and handgun ammunition drills here for the first time outside its military facilities. With a fear of a possible invasion looming, Taiwan's military is also hoping to beef up its numbers. It held an open house in an effort to court new recruits. Officials explained all the perks of joining up, including the salary. But
I don't think these jobs are popular because military work is hard.
The military has consistently struggled to hire professional soldiers. It's one of the reasons the government extended the mandatory service. 18-year-old Wang Yuche just reached the mandatory age. He says he thinks a longer service is necessary to protect his home.
The point of military service is to protect Taiwan, and I think it's my duty as a Taiwanese man to participate.
He'll be following in his father's footsteps. Wang Mingyun served 2 years in the military police. He says he's in favor of the longer conscription.
Taiwan, of course, must have a certain amount of military power, just like other countries.
But not everyone agrees, including 18-year-old Lai Wei-yin. His dream is to become an engineer. He says he'd rather spend a year studying and seeing friends instead of doing forced military service.
Extending the mandatory service means I'm going to lose important time in my life. I can't do the things I want to do.
Wei Ying's mother doesn't like it either. While she used to support the ruling DPP, this time she plans to vote against them. She says Taipei should focus on improving ties with China.
If Taiwan-China relations deteriorate, who will go to war? Those are our children. Every mother is worried. We don't want to send our kids to the battlefield.
While the presidential candidates debate how to handle China, for these families in Taiwan, it's not just hypothetical. Yoshida Mayu, NHK World, Taipei.
If one issue at stake in this election is security, another is the economy. Some voters are afraid of upsetting China as a range of businesses rely heavily on the mainland market. But lately, China suspended preferential tariffs on some chemicals and slapped Taiwan's agricultural and fishing industries with import bans. Now, many Taiwanese companies say they're reconsidering their plans for business across the strait. NHK World's Ono Momo reports.
This IT firm in Taiwan has spent 4 years developing its AI tablet devices. Founder Vic Shen says it was designed for hotels to help guests traveling abroad.
So the device is designed for like the multiple language.
The machine is equipped with AI. Users can ask for recommendations, and the device will offer local suggestions. When it came time to expand overseas, the company came to Japan. This hot spring hotel started using the device last year. The manager says it has been a big help.
Inns like ours are struggling to hire staff, so this is an efficient way to help our guests.
Shen's company plans to sign 30 more Japanese contracts this year. But he says they have no plans to enter the Chinese market. He says there's just too much at stake.
Relations between Taiwan and China are unstable. As a startup, we can't take that risk.
Authorities in Taiwan are also encouraging businesses to look elsewhere. About 130 Taiwanese companies came to this event in Tokyo to show off their high-tech products.
I hope more Japanese and Taiwanese companies will work together going forward.
While some businesses are avoiding China from the start, others are deciding to pull out. Tom Liang's company is one of them. His products use virtual reality to recreate 3D spaces, like museums. It's even being used to train surgeons. Doctors can practice in a virtual operating room while looking at a patient's CT scan. Liang says they expanded into China almost 10 years ago. They partnered with over 20 Chinese companies, including state-run organizations. But he said there were major red flags.
Our partners wanted the design documents. We wanted to keep working together, so we handed them over. But now, I don't think they need us to make products anymore.
So in 2020, they decided to leave. He said economic tensions between the US and China also played a role. Liang worried it would be hard to sell his products in America since the final assembly was done in China. He's not the only one who was concerned. According to the Taiwanese authorities, in 2010, 83% of Taiwan's overseas investment was in China. Last year, it was only 11.5%. The data shows businesses are investing in other Asian countries and the United States instead. This Japanese professor believes Beijing's recent policies are encouraging more businesses to leave.
China has been using its economy as a weapon to put political pressure on Taiwan. I think people feel those politics are becoming an economic risk.
Whether or not to depend on China is not only a question for Taiwanese businesses, but also for its voters when they hit the ballot box on Saturday. Ono Momo, NHK World, Taipei.
Let's go back to Takuma in Taipei. So Takuma, from your reports over the last 2 days, I've really got the sense that people in Taiwan are choosing who to vote for very carefully. What are some issues that have stood out to you?
The lives of more than 23 million people here are impacted by affairs beyond their control. For one thing, there is the government in Beijing. And for another, there's the ever-changing relationship between China and the United States. But however people here might differ on politics, they're united in wanting to participate in the democratic process. That's something they established in the 1990s after the decades of the martial law. One citizen told me that he feels privileged to be able to help choose the leader and determine the future. So yes, the election is important because it could influence the economic and security environment in the region. But it's also a great opportunity to listen to ordinary Taiwanese people and find out what they want for their future. Back to Yaki.
Thank you, Takuma. NHK World will have live updates from Taipei throughout Saturday. Voting begins at 8 a.m. local time and finishes at 4. We'll bring you the results and more. Relief efforts continue following the massive New Year's Day earthquake in central Japan. At least 215 people have now been confirmed dead. 28 are still unaccounted for, and officials in Ishikawa Prefecture are warning that incoming weather conditions could threaten more lives. Some residents have been able to return to hard-hit areas to survey the damage. This district in the town of Anamizu had about 40 shops, but many have collapsed. Yoshimura Fusaji is the head of a local business association. He says the same area suffered another massive quake 17 years ago, but this time the damage is much worse.
Last time, it felt like, let's go, Noto. Let's all work together. But this time, I'm worried whether everyone will unite in such a way like that.
Over 1,900 people remain isolated in parts of Ishikawa, including hundreds in Wajima City's Shitsuya district. Vehicles are unable to reach the area because of cracked roads, and there's no power or running water. One resident, Higashi Eichi, provided NHK with a video of the damage near where he's sheltering with others.
I wonder how long we will have to live in evacuation centers. It could take a long time, which means people might get sick. Some are in their 90s. I think the situation is very serious.
Relief crews are taking to the skies to bypass the blocked roads and reach those in need. A Japan Self-Defense Forces medical team was deployed by helicopter to a part of Suzu City on Thursday. They spent 4 hours providing treatment and supplies, but locals wonder how much longer they'll be there.
I'm thankful they are helping me, but I guess I have no choice but to stay here. After all, my house was destroyed.
Private companies have also provided helicopters for relief missions. A firm based in the western city of Okayama has been using 4 of its aircraft to deliver food and water, as well as to take some residents to safer areas. Wajima's Noto Airport was also temporarily restored. That's allowed transport aircraft to land, giving the SDF a hub to bring in more supplies and transport evacuees. Meanwhile, Friday brought rain and a severe cold snap, putting many in the hardest hit areas at risk from hyperthermia. A doctor deployed to help respond to the disaster said some deaths may have been caused by the cold.
I saw some who may have survived for a day or two. I believe they suffered hypothermia after being trapped under beams of the destroyed houses.
Over 22,000 people are currently in temporary shelters as the central government tries to find hotels or other accommodations for them. It says it hopes to secure lodgings for 10,000 people by the end of the week. And the quake is having an impact on students about to sit Japan's standardized university entrance exams. High schoolers in affected areas boarded special buses headed for the test venue in Kanazawa City on Friday morning. Students in Suzu City set off together ahead of the exams on Saturday and Sunday.
The power hasn't been fully restored, so I could only study until the sun went down. Our teachers worked hard to make sure we can take the tests. It would be good if we can show our abilities.
Students, families, and teachers showed up to wish them well in the tests and beyond.
We didn't expect such a big earthquake, but it happened. I'm sure you're worried, but please try to get past this. Work hard on your hopes and dreams for your own life.
The Education Ministry says it will take steps to ensure all examinees in Ishikawa Prefecture can sit additional exams if necessary. This news also starts with topics related to the disaster. Parcel delivery is returning to some quake-hit areas of Ishikawa Prefecture. Yuko Fukushima has the details. So, Yuko, when did the service return?
Yeah, well, Japan Post resumed accepting deliveries on Friday for deliveries to Nanao City as well as the towns of Shika and Nakanoto. The massive earthquake has forced a halt in 7 municipalities in Ishikawa Prefecture. Japan Post says it can handle parcels sent to those areas because road repairs are progressing, and the post office branches there now have the space to store them. It's also accepting packages to be sent from the 3 municipalities. But parcel services remain suspended in the other 4 places: Suzu, Wajima, Anamizu, and Noto. Well, Japan's central bank is taking a close look at the impact of the disaster. The head of the BOJ branch in the quake-hit region says there will be a careful assessment of the effect on the local economy and industries. Yoshihama Hisayoshi was speaking to reporters on Thursday. He earlier attended a meeting of Bank of Japan officials.
Given the extensive damage caused by the earthquake, it is necessary to pay close attention to the impact on future economic trends in the Hokuriku region. We will try to maintain financial functions in the affected areas by closely coordinating with governments and relevant organizations and by meeting financial needs in the affected areas.
Yoshihama said the Noto Peninsula region does not have a large manufacturing sector, but he added there are factories that make essential products. He also mentioned traditional lacquerware made in the city of Wajima. He says the industry is made up of many processes with specialized labor for each stage. He said the BOJ will assess the extent of the damage and the future impact. Sake brewing is another time-honored craft in the region. Damage from the quake has shut down production at many breweries. The tumbler flattened a wooden 2-level storehouse and damaged brewing tanks at a factory in Wajima.
I'm totally at a loss. I can't even imagine what's going to happen to our town itself.
The Ishikawa Sake Brewers Association says 11 member businesses are located in the hardest hit region. All of them have told the group they can no longer produce sake due to damaged storehouses and retail outlets. And moving to China, figures just out show Asia's biggest economy is seeing sustained deflationary pressure. Consumer prices fell for the 3rd straight month in December. For all of 2023, they rose by the lowest level in 14 years. CPI last month dropped 0.3% from a year earlier. Price pressure was significant for items like pork, as well as automobiles and smartphones. Sluggish home sales also dampened prices for furniture and home electronics. The Producer Price Index saw an even bigger drop in December, dipping 2.7%. The PPI measures changes in prices of goods at factory gates. It has been on a downward track for 15 months now. CPI was sluggish throughout 2023, rising only 0.2% from the previous year. That's the lowest level since 2009, when the global financial crisis was in full force. The Chinese government says it will work to boost domestic demand through fiscal policy and other measures. And now to the markets. Well, the Nikkei in Tokyo continued to climb for the fourth consecutive day, ending the week at 35,577. The index rose more than 2,000 points this week on back of foreign investor expectations for Japan's economy. Index heavyweight and Uniqlo brand operator Fast Retailing drove the benchmark up after announcing robust earnings. And the rest of the region, in China, the Shanghai Composite ended down about 0.2% after mixed economic data came out. Although inflation figures pointed to weak domestic demand, exports rose in December. Now that helped limit the drop in stocks. And in India, the Sensex advanced almost 1.2%, led by the IT sector, as major firms in the industry posted better than expected profits in the last quarter. And that's the biz for this week.
Thanks, Yuko. It's time for a look at world weather with our meteorologist, Jonathan Ho.
Hello, we've been talking about stormy weather across the eastern areas of the United States, but we have plenty of snow to talk about. It was affecting the Pacific Northwest at first, but we have now plenty of snow that rolled through the desert Southwest and blanketing the area. Take a look at some video coming out of Arizona, where a winter storm hit the northern part of the state Thursday, bringing snowfall and whiteout conditions. The National Weather Service issued a snow squall warning for parts of the area. Residents, especially drivers, were urged to use caution against extremely dangerous conditions on the roads and avoid traveling if possible. You can see plenty of snow located there. The same system now pushing toward the east and is gaining steam with a lot of the warm air coming in from the south. It's almost like spring when it comes to these storms developing. This low brings some severe thunderstorms into the southeastern areas of the United States, and here from Arkansas points eastward as we go through Friday. And the same general area saw severe storms earlier this week, so they're getting a 1-2 punch essentially as we go through this week. So make sure that you're keeping an eye to the sky as we go throughout the day on Friday. Plenty of snow up into the Great Lakes area and pushing into Canada and the northeastern areas of the United States. So be on the lookout for that. Snow from Winnipeg into Toronto. Rain and thunderstorms extending from New York down toward Atlanta and Miami. Frigid conditions with some snow into Denver and Oklahoma City as we go through Friday. Meanwhile, it's cold in the northeastern areas of Europe. We're seeing this frigid area of low pressure bringing some snow into the region. Down to the south, a low skirting across the Mediterranean, bringing some showers into places like Athens. Istanbul looking at some rain. Look at this. Moscow seeing a high of 12 degrees below zero coming up on Friday, so bundle up. Meanwhile, in Japan, we're seeing snow picking back up into the north and northeastern areas of the country. These areas are going to really get dumped on when it comes to the snow as you go into the overnight hours into Saturday, so be on the lookout for that. Along the Pacific side of Japan, highs in the low teens as we go through Saturday. Hope you have a good day wherever you are.
And that's it for tonight's News from Tokyo. You can catch this program on the NHK World Japan website. I'm Shibayaki. Stay with us.